a special message from this month's presenting sponsor. Learn about Baltimore's rich industrial legacy through working galleries that explore the history of the Bethlehem Steel Mill, an antique print shop, a garment loft, and more at the Baltimore Museum of Industry, the BMI. Hours and information at thebmi.org. Also, use the code TRUTH50, that is TRUTH50, my special code, and get 50% off of admission at the front desk or use it when purchasing the tickets online. So please visit thebmi.org and make that trip today. Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, the great Rob Lee. Not the regular Rob Lee, but the great Rob Lee. Today, I am doing another in-person interview. I have the privilege of chatting and being in conversation with the conductor of an amazing orchestra of team members working together to help keep downtown clean, safe, and vibrant. President of the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, founder and president and CEO of Graybo, a marketing and production company. Please welcome Shelonda Stokes. Welcome to the podcast.
Woohoo! Cue applause. Yay! No, thank you for having me.
I like how it crescendos.
It does, right. So
yeah, thank you for having the time. And it's just, see, I have a few doubles. I don't have as many as you, but I got a few. So I want to start off. I gave the literal copy and paste. This was off the internet.
Okay.
You know, everyone knows everything on the internet is 100%.
Oh yeah, it's also true. Yes.
So could you introduce yourself and give us those vital stats? Really give us that background and ultimately what brought you into this role that you're currently in.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to share. I am Baltimore born and bred. And I say that with a sense of pride, not that there haven't been challenges along the way, but, you know, I look at our city and our people as like those roses that grow through concrete quite often. And so I had, you know, one of those types of beginnings, like so many in Baltimore, single mom trying to raise me, you know, just poverty, all of those things that we went through. And Rob, that became a part of my why. And so I knew, you know, although we didn't have a lot of people in our neighborhood who looked like us who were doing well, there were some, and some people kind of reached back and helped. And so, you know, to kind of go fast forward through a number of things through my childhood, I came out and I went to one of the best high schools in the city. No comment from you, Baltimore Polytechnic. Whoop, whoop, big up to my Poly fam. And I had a love of engineering, and I had a love of problem solving, and took a, you know, college experience through Virginia Tech and ultimately to Morgan State University.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, we get a little whoop from Morgan, where I have, you know, a degree in electrical engineering, building on that problem solving. And so, you know, coming out of Morgan, we were heavily recruited. It was phenomenal. And so all of the IBMs, the HP, and I ended up going with Hewlett Packard and went there. And it's funny, I'm a you know, a little aside, when I first got that job, and this is, you know, on my mom's side, one of the first to graduate from college. And I got a job, and they offered me $40,000 a year. You couldn't tell me, boop, right? I mean, the reality was, and for my family, we're all, you know, vibing with that. And I worked there for a number of years and grew it. And by the time I left, you know, I was making $80,000. I had a company car, and I'm still young 20s. You'd say, what? You know, with all of that. But a part of what happened also is I understood really how money worked, how deals were made. And although I was making $80,000 at that point in time, my quota for that organization was $10 million. Mm-hmm. And so part of what, you know what, you start doing the math. Well, if I have my own, and if we could do, and that, you know, and you start doing that, if I could just do 10% of that, that's $1 million. So part of it is we shift, and, you know, have business partners, and now we have Graybo as a company, and that is a media company, and we can tell stories and change narratives and paint pictures, and it's an amazing ride from that company. And then, you know, at Graybo, I'm the, you know, getting on boards, and I'm getting involved because I love this city. I love this city. And I'm on this board of Downtown Partnership, and I'm the chair. And now I'm the chair of the board of Downtown Partnership. This is before, you know, being here. I'm president and CEO of Graybo. I'm the chair of the board for Downtown Partnership. I'm doing it. And the CEO who was here previously, who, you know, we had a great relationship. He's like, he had an opportunity to go to another job, and he wanted to take it. And we're excited for him. And as the chair of the board, I'm going to hire his replacement. and we start a search because we're going to get that person who loves this city, this person who's committed to downtown. And COVID happened. And when COVID happened, I think for all of us, life shifted. And we didn't know, because early on we thought it was going to be, 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. There was no way it could last through the summer, right? Because it can't withstand heat. And it did. And throughout that time, we went through a process, and we had interview candidates in the pipe, but we needed somebody to step in on an interim basis, because there was no way you could hire somebody from Zoom. Like, how could you do that, And fast forward, I came in on an interim basis at Downtown Partnership, and Rob, I fell in love with this organization. I fell in love with the city in a new way, with the team who was here, and I saw the impact and access that we had and the difference that we could make, not just for downtown, but for our entire city. And it's 2 years later almost, and I'm here, and I love it, and that's sort of the Cliff Notes version of how I got here.
Thank you for walking us through it, and it's great to hear that, and I think going through that process of being able to see the city that you're from and that you've lived in for a very long time in a different and new way, that's what doing this podcast has afforded me the opportunity to do.
I can believe that.
And, the problem-solving thing, I went to Morgan as well, and...
that was one of your brighter decisions.
We
won't talk about the mistakes you made alone. No,
let's be civil here. Let's be civil.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where I was going there with this idea that I was going to go into engineering.
Yeah.
And I went to the business school, and still one of the more illustrious sides of Morgan, and just learning so many different things from that, and coming out with that $45,000 a year job.
Exactly. Give it to me. That was saying something.
Yeah, and being one of the maybe the first actually to come from my family and go through the whole process, and I was on one. I was just like, yeah, man, I'm going to be doing this, going to be doing that, and realizing at a point at like 24 that I was just burnt out.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not feeling, because I was doing marketing.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not feeling fulfilled creatively.
Okay.
I was doing marketing analytics.
Different.
So very different, and every time there was an opportunity to do something corny but kind of creative, like
you were on it.
Yeah. So if it was like, it's so corny. It was like 2007. I feel like maybe Soulja Boy just came out, and I was doing some marketing thing, and I had like the glasses on, and it had like Verizon on there, and I was like, I don't want to look at these pictures ever again. And but we were doing like sales and just different things to kind of rally the team. And at a point, I was like, moving up really quickly. It wasn't quite at 80, but I was, up like about 70, and really thinking of like, is this worth it? And I got it to. I started thinking of things. What is the most ideal version of this? I was not commuting down to DC anymore. I was right there at Hunt Valley. I would hop on the train and the light rail from Towson up to Hunt Valley, and then just kind of max for the rest of the day. But it didn't fit. It didn't fit for me anymore, and kind of shifted and moved into the career path that I'm in now. But during that time of kind of learning, like, I'm not feeling creatively satisfied, that's when podcasting started for me.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And now you're satisfied, and you're doing it, because I listen, and you're doing a phenomenal job.
Well,
thank you for sharing the stories.
Thank you. So this is one of the things, obviously, engineering. So I read that you're an adept problem solving, or you have those abilities, and you went to that other school, and then to the illustrious Morgan State University, earned a degree in electrical engineering. How did your background working, like in marketing and your work in engineering, kind of like put you in a unique spot to be at the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore?
Thank you. I think so. So at the core, I think problem solving for any job positions you well. And people, even when I was applying for the job at Downtown Partnership, I remember one of the questions, like, you're an engineer, like why here? Like, what how do you apply those skill sets? And that to me is a baseline. No matter what the challenge is, I believe it's solvable, right? And some is time and money and people and all of those things. Do we have the ingredients, the political will, the boldness to solve them?
Yeah.
That's a different question, but can they be solved? I believe for the most part, yes. And so I think that gave the basis for me coming into this role. The second part, the marketing piece that you talk about, to me, that gives this little sauce to it.
Yeah.
It is, the glass for me is always going to be half full. That's the lens that I choose, to use when I'm telling these things. And what marketing allows me to do, and having that background too, is pull the necessary pieces to tell the story in a way that you start to see and feel the city and love the city in the way that I feel you should, because I'm giving you stuff that I know you care about. Marketing allows me to say, okay, we're not monolithic as people, but for the family, this is what you might enjoy. For the, single person, for, the student, whatever. And so those things helped, I think, give me a unique ability to both be practical about there's things that we need to fix and do and solve to get our city to that even higher height. Yeah. But at the same time, we need to tell the good news, and that's what I'm able to do both.
That's great. And I love hearing that, because I want to be an evangelist, for like Baltimore.
I want you to be, right?
You go to these other cities and you definitely, see it loud and proud, the identity of a place. And I feel like there's this kind of this shift back and forth. There's different classes of people of a certain age are like, this is Baltimore. And then other people are like, well, I feel like it's this now.
Right.
But is it? And, you can go to a Starbucks, right? And go to a Starbucks in New Orleans. You're going to see the crescent or whatever. You're going to see this. You're going to get chicory coffee, the whole thing.
That is.
And I want that here, and I want that to be loud and proud. And having a place like Downtown Partnership is really doing that and having that baked into what's there, and having someone such as yourself in that role that is a person that loves Baltimore, that's from here.
Yes.
It has to be at the root. It has to be baked in.
It has to be at the root. And the other part that it has to include is great partners and great leaders. We have now a mayor who is excited about and from the city in such a way that he's willing to celebrate and share and make sure there's room at the table for everybody. We have partners like Visit Baltimore and Waterfront Partnership and BOPA and all of these other entities that we're working together in ways that we hadn't, because we want to make sure that everybody is getting served, information and process and programming for them.
Absolutely. So you're also an East Baltimore native.
Yes.
Same as me.
East side.
Yeah, over there, Collington.
Yes.
Again. So tell me about your experiences growing up in East Baltimore, and what do people outside of Baltimore not truly get about the city? Right.
So it's so funny, because Baltimore is truly a city of neighborhoods. I mean, and as a child, because of the sort of poverty piece of it, we were very transient as a family. And so I went to multiple elementary schools. I did, you get a little bit of a mix. So you get to see so many of these different neighborhoods. And so as a child, depending on where I lived, my experience was totally different, right? The beauty of it, though, we were poor, but I didn't even know that we were poor, because no matter where, we still, we enjoyed the things that are Baltimore, the lemon sticks, the snowballs, the crabs, the, being outside playing, whether it was the fire hydrant or a pool, it was figuring out all of those things. So I really had a good childhood. I did, and that was at a point in our history, and this is where I look forward to us getting back, where we had officer friendly, right? The dynamics that exist and some of the stuff that happened, some of it is just an awakening, right? And not knowing all that existed. But when you're younger, some of that stuff you're so naive to, or just you're not paying as much attention or tuned in that way. And I had the benefit of that, where I see some of our, now don't have the benefit of that, and their realities are there. And so for us right now, it's about championing a where that's our reality.
Yes, it's a similar thing. There's the experience I had Lafayette Projects back in the day.
Okay.
So that sets the stage.
It is. It does.
Trips to Old Town Mall to get ice cream with my dad, and going there way too late to get Chinese food with my mom, and it's just like, I feel like there's some questionable parenting going on here. But I started this series earlier this year about movies that were filmed in Baltimore.
Okay.
And one of the memories I have is Crystal, but again, suspect parenting. I just remember my dad getting my brother and I up. We were both in elementary school, so this is like maybe 93. And it's like, they filming a movie across the street. It was Meteor Man.
Oh, okay.
So they takes us over there. It's 11 o'clock. I'm 8. So I was like, this something's wrong here, but we're seeing a Superman, a superhero, what have you, and having that experience, but literally living in the projects, but having all the stuff that we wanted, and having those parents around, and not as an adult now, not even looking at it like we were poor or it was bad, just looking at it like this was the thing. This was what it was growing up for me. But having the snowballs, or have you, hey custard, getting pizza boli, or have you, like on Fridays, it was like this is what we were doing.
It's just what you it's what you did here, and that's, I mean, I can't imagine my life being different and not having those experiences. That's what we want everybody to feel and experience.
So kind of dovetailing on that previous question, I think we have a sense of what makes Baltimore great. I mean, I'm over here caping for Baltimore because that's what I do.
Right.
But what are you truly excited for that's like on the forefront that's coming? Because I feel like there's always things in development that are like popping up soon. Like, you know, since this podcast is really focused and centered in arts and culture, there's a lot that happens.
There's a lot
in that respect. But from your vantage point, what are you truly like really excited for?
Oh my God, I have so many things I'm excited for. So I mean, I'm centering it around downtown just because this is a part of where I am right now. But there are a few initiatives that we have and upcoming things that I know just are sexy for downtown. Today, you know, I'm just coming off of an announcement. We announced that we're bringing the fireworks back downtown. That is exciting because it's been gone for 2 years. Yeah. And after 2 years, our city, this is the place where equity happens. You know, we're transit connected. People come down, whether you want to pay and sit at a restaurant or just bring your lunch and sit on a hill. Yeah. It's for everybody. And we're going to have the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra is going to curate music to the fireworks. And, you know, we have Waterfront is going to activate the promenade. So there are different things that are happening. That's exciting because it gets people down here in a way that once we are together and connected, you know, that's where the exciting things happen. We're also doing some series. It's called Baltimore by Baltimore, where the first Saturday of every month we've hired a producer who will curate an entire show. And these are a lot minority producers who are really going to show us in the amphitheater what Baltimore is about. So we want to bring that. We have a program also called Boost, where we're bringing Black-owned businesses into downtown, helping seed them with $50,000 plus a build out of their space. And, you know what I mean? Just it's all of this stuff that we want to make sure that we're able to do. And I don't know from an art perspective, if you followed, we just had approved last week 5 additional billboards. So we're bringing digital billboards downtown, which is a big deal because what it does, we've been able to do some things with the media partners where we can create and carve out, you know, up to 20% of that time for nonprofits to showcase their work and have it, but also for art components. And so we're making sure that artists are paid and their artwork is featured. And we have an advisory panel. We're talking about doing things like, imagine on Fridays you come downtown and you get to see an international or local art show or a mix of, that's us. Yeah. And that's how we get to showcase. So, I mean, those are just a sum of, I have so many things that I'm excited about.
That's wonderful. And I think from the arts and culture perspective, really, you know, making use and supporting and just like lifting up that, you know, we have this creative economy here.
We're having a creative economy.
And it's very thick. You know, like if an economy was like, it's not diluted Kool-Aid, if that makes sense.
No, I know.
It's syrup.
It is. I like that sugar in there. Exactly.
So, now let's shift a little bit to this one. Tell me about obstacles. How do you approach them, and what is one obstacle that comes to mind that's been pretty like impactful in your career, what have you? Like I remember this. This is definitely something I got from Morgan, but it was a George Frazier comment, and he said, "Oh, obstacles, I eat those like vitamins." He said, "You got to have one every day. You got to have something new you're getting past every day." So tell me about that.
So it's interesting in a similar fashion, and I have a ton of obstacles. I think I want to give you how I look at them first. Sure. And this is just in terms of sort of upbringing and experience. If we are not failing daily, we're not stretching. Yep. Right? And so to me, every day it should be something that I'm willing to try to overcome, surmount, like in that, and it should be planned in my day. And if that's what we're considering obstacles, because it is, there are some things that are in there, then the way I approach them is I start with the end in mind. It is ultimately, and I'll give an example of some things that happened. I mean, we recently did Preakness. We worked on that, which was such an exciting thing. This was the first year with Kevin Liles and other things that we were able to bring a level of culture there, from Derek Adams and the artwork that he had on stage, to the culinary on stage, to having Black businesses represented in our infield. What the consistent message was, you have never saw that much diversity, a mix of people at Preakness who were at all levels, and it was great. Yeah. But the time was short to make that happen, and there were some things, like even for our restaurants, had no idea how, like Friday had never really been programmed, so you're trying to educate people on a day, get them out, and all of that. And when you talk about obstacles being the time, you know what I mean? It's just, we didn't have enough time to do some of the messaging. We had no idea how many people. And so how do you tell these minority businesses to how much to staff up for or not? And, they had, people who were working with them. But not everything went 100% as planned. Right. And so for all of those things, I think at the end of the day, we want to make sure everybody is as whole as they can be, that we're communicating as effectively as we can, and that we definitely don't do the same thing. So any way that we can, within the means of whatever they're doing, figure out how to make it right, we need to do that. And if not, we need to figure out that we don't make that same mistake again. Yep. And that's how I approach all of these things. There are a ton. I'm Black, I'm a female, I'm left-handed, right? All of those things, when you go try and get some golf clubs as a left-hander, all of those things are things, right, or scissors. You know what, I've been trained to cut right, but that's a whole different thing. But the reality is we have a ton of them. Yeah. We have a ton of obstacles, either, physical, emotional, mental, planned, manned, and I think it's incumbent upon us at this point in time to figure out, how do we lock arms with other people so that we can get out of it? How do we lift up, give back? Yeah. It's all of that working together.
No, that's huge. And, I think being able to, I like the way you described it. It's like a stretch. When you were describing like obstacles, I immediately thought of going to the gym. You lift weights until you fail, and then you get stronger. So I look at doing this as we're here, like maybe a year ago, I wouldn't be able to have this set up. I had to learn this, and the obstacle was, how am I going to get my gear in this space that's heavy? So let me learn, let me do some research. Let me have a podcast not get recorded and have that embarrassment that comes along with that. And now let's figure out, make sure you have a backup flash drive. Make sure you have batteries. Make sure you have a cable, lavalier mics, things of that nature.
Is so true.
And you learn different ways to do it. And I remember it was one time, it was actually in studio. I had was a guest, and it was the second time we were trying to get the recording. We recorded the first time in his space, just acoustically wasn't good. So we did it at a studio, but my gear, it was something wrong with the mics. So I was like, I need to bring an extra mic, and it was just, But ultimately, I figured something out. I was MacGyver with this gear. I figured it out. I was like, if I can take this, I'm going to get sound out of this. And that's really what it was. But it comes through that failing. It comes through not having something recorded or captured. Like, man, I am mad about this. Right. But I think anger, or let's use anger for an example, is the opportunity, is energy for change. And at the root of it, and that's really where this podcast comes out of.
Okay.
It's like, people taking really weird shots at Baltimore. I'm tight about it. Not a bunch of 4-letter words, but let's disprove it.
Yep.
And that's really where it comes from. And so I got 2 more real questions, and then we got those rapid fire questions. You're not going anywhere.
I'm scared of the rapid fire.
You're not going anywhere. Engineer, pirate, parrot, Polly Parrot. Yeah. So I read that toxic work culture is one of the biggest factors, like driving the Great Resignation, and it's something that's like around us at all times, right? Tell me about how like the Downtown Partnership is like how it works to ensure like a great office culture, because I think that's something that people need to really learn from, and if anything, I think this podcast not only lets people tell their story, share their story, but also is drop a few gems here.
Right.
How do you ensure like a great office culture? Because we're in here, people are smiling, tap dancing, top knots.
It is, and it's a process. I think part of what you started off with, even in the intro piece, the Great Resignation is real. And there are a number of reasons people are doing it. COVID and the impact of COVID has a number of people who either had mental illness or developed mental illness or depression or all of those things, whatever you were feeling. In some cases, it exacerbated those feelings. And so you have people who are leaving because they can make more money, or toxic work cultures, or you know what? I worked for 2 years and didn't have to put on real pants. And I want a job that I can work from. Like, it's a whole myriad of things that are happening. And so from the employer side, it puts the pressure on in a different way. Because even if the environment isn't toxic, people have so many choices now for where they can work and how they can work, that for Downtown Partnership, we need people who want to be here. Yeah. You have to be the person who wants to be a cheerleader for the city, and sometimes we got to take stuff from people who are just having a bad day. I mean, part of our team members, as you introed, are cleaning downtown. And so you have some people who will come out and just throw, so you know what I mean? And so it's a mix of stuff that's in here. And so for us, it is, I need to pump them up for them to go out and be able to deliver their job. And so that's a part of me pumping them up, is a part of how some of our culture starts to happen. You know, we're doing a monthly recognition awards so that we can say, you know what, we appreciate you. We do it for my birthday. I came in and they had like a 360 photo booth and DJ, and like it's a family, right? And so for us, it's figuring out how we figure and develop and cultivate this family that you say, you know what, I enjoy going there. No, not that I have to be skipping, because I don't know that everybody's like, yay, let me go to work. Not that by any stretch. But you also don't want people like, man, I gotta go in again. So as much as we can do to help facilitate that kind of environment, I encourage everybody to do right now. People need the motivation. They need to be edified as much as they can. They need to be kind of given some bandwidth to maybe go outside and take a meeting, just to do some things that now we probably didn't focus on pre-COVID, but we know are important to the quality of life post-COVID. Or not even post, because we're still in it, but wherever we are in COVID.
We're we're halftime.
Halftime, okay.
I agree. I think one of the things that gets lost is, I think the note on where we're at in COVID, I think once we got to a space where it was like there's a vaccine and people are getting shots and all of that stuff, that some responses from businesses have been, back to status quo, back to these failed practices that were there.
Right.
And one can make the case that for a year and a half we were able to work remotely and still do our job. So where's the flexibility? Or to what you were touching on, I think, how do you make this work environment, how do we shift that? What's the new version of it? And sometimes it just takes just kind of going out of your way just to do something small. I work in a higher ed place, and the same day as Preakness, we were doing graduation, and it was 97 degrees.
Correct.
So
I was on the stage as a regent of Morgan during graduation.
Oh.
Yes.
I was wearing a dark blue polo shirt, and having way too much hair is just like, it's just everywhere. I'm looking like Earl Graves.
That's funny.
So I took a walk from my office down to Sacre Sucre in Fells Point. And Sacre Sucre, I can't, support them enough. They're great. And they have like this dessert art. So I was like, all right, let's get some tiramisu. Get tiramisu eclairs, and I got a couple brownies, and came back with them and gave them to the leadership team.
I know that they were appreciative.
And they were like, "Oh, this was the pick me up I needed." And and it was literally on a Wednesday, so it's like
things.
The hump day, midday of the hump day. It's like this is that energy to finish out this week and hitting into this period. It's just these small things that I wasn't expecting this, but this is now a plus. I'm winning for today.
Yeah.
And it felt good to do that because you can see people are drained coming back from working on a Saturday. So your weekend is already truncated. And then it's just like, this was a miserable kind of situation. All right. So here's the last question. Often, this is a funny question. Often we hear for the culture.
Yep.
And I question, is that, like, we talking biology, talking chemistry? What are we talking here? It's like, is it I don't know. For you, what does the culture mean? Like, in that term, and what is the culture of Baltimore?
That's such a great question. It's interesting because I think that Baltimore has such a mix that depending on where you sort of stand, the culture is a little bit different. I don't think that we're monolithic even in culture. I think that sometimes when you say it for the culture, it's generally leaning towards, Black people and just the connectedness. And I don't even like to use the term kind of woke in it, but there is and an experience that we share that it's almost like a nod that you know, right? And so it's that feeling that's even hard to articulate and put in words around where the culture is. But there's also this thing to Baltimore that no matter where you are, black, white, green, purple, we bleed blue and orange, we bleed purple and black. We love our sports teams, we love our food, we love our people in such a way that is also our own culture, our own spoken word, our own, all of that vibe as well. And so I think that there's a mix of both of those things. And then you go over to Little Italy and you're going to get a whole different, flavor right in there. I think it is about recognizing and just experiencing and loving on where you are, what you represent, how you dress, where you went to high school. All of those things are part of what make us us.
Yeah, let's not forget the orange and black. Go Orioles, go Orioles. See, that's a truce right there. Downtown. I agree wholeheartedly. So that's kind of it for the real questions. Now it's time to get strange with these rapid fire questions. All right. I'm going to start off with the one that feels the most professional.
Okay.
Briefly, what is your philosophy on leadership?
My philosophy on leadership is collaboration first, it is communication second, and it is action third.
Okay. CCA, okay.
Oh, thank you for giving me an acronym for it. Right.
All right, now this is where it starts to get political and weird. Salty or sweet?
Sweet, oh my God.
And people have been saying salty a lot recently.
No. Even if you do a lemon drop martini, sugar rim.
Okay. Favorite movie?
You know what's so crazy? My favorite movie is 48 Hours. And
really?
That's the craziest. And I think it's favorite only because, and I have some deeper ones.
Yeah.
But it makes me laugh in such a way that I just feel good.
I like it. So this one is always this is kind of the metric for, and I had I think Devin Allen gave me a really interesting answer to this one. Baltimore or Be More?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with Be More.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Be More, and you know why? Because I feel like it is us. It is a truncated, give a little flair to the word. We're not going to spend the time saying a whole of anything. I'm going to rep it. I'm not going to represent it. So I'm going to go with Be More.
It's just over East. It's you added an A and dropped the ER.
Right. That's over East. That's it. Right.
This lastly, what is your most commonly used emoji?
Oh my God. You know which one? It's the one that has the 3 hearts around it.
Okay.
I love that. I don't even know what it means. It just makes me happy.
I think it's swooning or something, right?
Oh my God. So everybody thinks I'm... Okay, thank you.
And those recent additions to Apple's emojis.
Yes.
The one that has just someone doing this as a half a face, or the dotted smiling face is that's an outline. That's me most of the time now. It's I might not really be there, but I'm smiling, I'm supporting you.
You know what? You say that because I've even given people in person the emoji, where the hands are to the side, I don't know,
shrug.
whatever,
Yeah.
shrug. I do that one as well.
So that's pretty much it for today's interview. But I want to, one, thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for being on the interview. And two, I want to encourage and invite you to tell folks where to check everything out, the happenings here at the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore.
Yeah, so please, thank you for having me. This has been fun. I encourage everybody we're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're all of those places, but you can get those handles from our website too at godowntownbaltimore.com.
So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Shelonda Stokes for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee saying there is a culture, Baltimore, everywhere. You just got to look for it.